Nice guys don't always finish last. A lot of times you get dictated as passive. But the truth of the matter is you're not making as many mistakes as you think you are. If you're somebody who's dating a passive man, you need to understand why they're passive. And more importantly, if it makes sense for you to continue on. Here are 3 reasons why guys turn out to be passive. Now, the first reason why you may be passive or the person you're dating is passive is that they're conflict avoidant. Now, I know you're thinking, what the hell does it mean to be conflict avoidant? All it means is somebody who does not want to get in conflict, somebody who doesn't want to get in arguments, somebody who doesn't want to get in back and forths. And if you're somebody who is anxious, when you don't hear from your partner, you get triggered, you don't mind getting argumentative, you love hard, you're probably somebody who's used to resolving issues right there in the moment. But if your partner is conflict avoidant, even if you bring up little small things, they're going to see it as conflict. What the heck does that mean? So when you bring up an issue or maybe even something you want to see change, if you criticize them or attack them or get over emotional, it's going to trigger them to shut down. They're going to perceive it as conflict and you're not going to get what you want in that situation. And before you check out and say, Troy, I'm over this, you're being a narcissist, you're defending them, all that stuff, hold on. What you really need to understand is that people like that have a core around emotions because when they were growing up, they discovered that when you're emotional, when you express yourself, when you open up, not only does that make you weak, but they potentially even got yelled out by parental figures, told they were weak, told to stop, and so it made them feel unsafe. And so fast forward to their adult relationships, when you get emotional, when you criticize, when you argue, all it causes them to do is feel unsafe, causes them to then shut down to protect themselves, and leaves you feeling unheard and unseen. And so if you're a passive man or you're dating someone who's a passive man, or heck, you're even married to someone passive, understand that it's not coming from a place of trying to be bitter, unless they're petty. In that case, maybe I'm wrong. A lot of times it comes from a place of a learned behavior that they have not learned to change because they don't feel safe during conflict. Now, the second reason why you may be a passive guy or that you may be dating a passive guy is if they're a nice guy. I know. Everyone always says nice guys finish last, nice guys this, nice guys that. And hear me out, this may be a little different than what you're used to hearing. Some people really are genuinely nice. They don't have ulterior motives, they mean well, they're very kind-hearted, and that's how they're raised. And if you're somebody who's mistreating them and they're genuinely nice, then shame on you, they deserve better. But what you also need to understand is that some guys aren't so nice. Some people only pretend to be nice without even knowing it because of their fear of abandonment. You see, those are the type of people who turn out to be people pleasers and they're only trying to be nice so that they do not get left, rejected, etc. Let's say that you're somebody who has an anxious attachment and you're with a group of friends and they want to do something that maybe you're not favorable of. You're somebody who fears rejection, fears being alone, fears abandonment. You may go ahead and people please and go along with the group in order to not get rejected, abandoned, left behind, even though what the group wants is not something you necessarily agree with. And so in that case, you being nice is not necessarily because you're a nice person, rather because you fear abandonment, you fear being alone, and you want to fit into the group. And so you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with dating? If you're on a date, your date wants to go to a certain place, they want to do a certain thing, they have a certain belief or idea, and you don't agree with it, you may be more agreeable in order to not get left, in order to not lose the person, or because you fear rejection or abandonment. So in that case, you're not necessarily a nice guy, you're just agreeable and a people pleaser because of your fear, again, of abandonment. Now, before we go ahead and get into the third reason why you may be a passive man, or maybe even why the dude you're dating is passive, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel for more daily relationship tips, or just if you want to learn more about yourself or relationships in general. Now, the third reason why you may be a passive man, or even dating someone who's passive, and this one may hurt a little bit, is if you're wrong. And I know you're thinking, Troy, that don't make no sense. Let me break it down. If you're somebody who's used to being in toxic relationships, let's say you're with somebody who didn't treat you the right way, cheated on you, somebody who didn't respect your boundaries. You may be used to toxic behavior in your relationships. That becomes your subconscious relationship comfort zone. And so now that you're with somebody who's secure and safe, you may see it as boring. And so because they're boring, according to you, and they don't argue, they don't fight, they don't push back, you may see that as them being passive, but in reality, they may just be secure and healthy. And so you deem them as somebody who's a pushover. Granted, I'm not saying every situation is like this, but if your person treats you right, or you're the person who treats your partner right, you hear them out, you make them feel seen and heard, but you also voice your boundaries and where you're coming from, communicate in a healthy way, you respect them or respect yourself, and they see you as passive or you see them as passive and boring, then chances are the person who sees you in this way may be a little toxica, maybe just used to unhealthy relationships. Let me know in the comments what video you want to see. If you want to learn a little bit more about passive men, more about why you attract the people you attract, or just even what you want to learn about relationships in general. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.